Welcome, welcome. I know we're kind of getting started, so we're going to let people come on, and I'm going to be bringing on our special guest. So, my partner in crime, Lupita, is under the weather, so she will not be joining us today, which is fine. Let her get her rest. I wish her, all the best, and I'm going to check in on her after this live and tell her how it went. So I am going to get our special guest on here in a few minutes, and we will kind of wait for everyone to notice that we're live. And yeah, we'll get started on this topic. I'm excited because if you know, I'm a coach, and there's so much to say and so much to talk about this topic. And I'm going to bring up some things that probably you guys didn't know. And yeah, we're going to get the conversation going. I'm excited. So let's, and excuse me, I am battling the change of season allergies. I took my medicine this morning, my allergy medicine. So if I feel or sound a little scratchy, I apologize. So let me get my guest on here. Mr. Benny Salas. Hopefully there it is. Let's wait for him to join while we're waiting. It is Tuesday. It is very rainy here. And there he is.
Hey, can you hear me okay or no?
I can hear you just fine. Yes, you're actually very clear.
Okay, so I'm using my mic here. See my mic here. So,
Oh, yay, look, I'm using my mic here too.
hey, how are you?
Yeah, it's new. I think the last episode I was trying it out, and it's funny because I am on another group, and when she uses the mic, I can't hear her very well on the computer. So I'm like, I wonder if it sounds the same way. So I've tried it and practiced it, but it seems to be okay. Yours is probably better than mine, I'm sure. It's not the best, but yeah, I'm
Actually,
getting used to this.
yeah, I have one of those.
Do you?
Yeah,
It's like the
it's
the
a Yeti
intro.
mic.
It's like the intro to the mics.
Well, I upgraded, so I got the other one. But
Yeah,
yes,
so
it's a good one.
this is like I'm baby stepping, tiptoeing into the pool of microphone podcast life, right?
You baby stepping to what you should have always been doing, huh?
I know. Oh, we're going to talk about it, and I'm sure you're going to bring up a lot of stuff. But I was telling the audience that Lupita is not going to be joining us. She has the vid. I don't know if she cares if I say that, but she was not feeling well and last night, and we were, diagnosing her symptoms with each other. And I
I'm
told
here.
her
It's
just take
coming
some rest.
back. I hear it's
I,
coming back. So
I, I don't understand. Is it going to be like the flu now? We're going to be like, hey, I just have the vid. Like, is this going to be normal? It's so annoying.
who knows? I don't even know anymore at this point.
I don't like it. I don't want to be here for that. So, but I want her to get rest. I know she's going to hate that she missed this because we were excited to talk with you. And, people are going to jump in and jump out. So we're
Yeah.
just going to dive right into it. And I titled this discussion "Why You Don't Need a Coach," because people always, that's kind of where they go, right? Like, well, they have all these excuses. I'm not in a position, or like, what are they going to tell me anyways? A lot of them don't have an understanding of how a coach helps. And I guess we've always had coaches, but we didn't think of them as that, right?
Right.
Teachers, teachers are coaches.
Mentors.
Mentors are coaches. But it's funny because I was listening to somebody else, and they were like, I have a personal trainer who's a coach. I have somebody that helps me with my IT stuff. They walk me, well, they're coaching them how to use that part of their business. Or maybe you have a therapist. Like most of the coaches I know have at least 3 other coaches.
Mm-hmm.
That's just,
Yep.
And one of my other coach, she was like, I won't work with somebody. I won't hire somebody as a coach if they don't have a coach.
100%.
And so I was like, this is an interesting concept because it's almost like a little pyramid scheme, but not a scheme. It's like a pyramid, right? Like the main coach, which is, I don't know, God Almighty, the universe, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
has has allowed other people to learn from, him or her, and all the stewards of that information is like coaches to us, right? And
Yeah.
so I kind of saw it as like somebody I would be hiring as a coach. I'm sure they have two coaches. I'm sure their coaches have two coaches. And so forth and so on. And all the entrepreneurs that I follow, podcasts, people that I watch, YouTubers, they all talk about having multiple coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to somebody like a realtor or an entrepreneur or somebody just getting started in their new, hobby journey, whatever, like I think it gets you to your goal faster if you hire somebody that has already been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And this has been the test of time. So I'm gonna lead with saying you don't need a coach if you don't want to level up, you don't want to change, you don't want to make more money, you don't want to improve yourself, then you don't need one.
Yeah.
Then you can just go on doing the things the way that you have been. But let's talk about how Benny and I first met.
Yep.
And he is Coach Benny Salas. So he is would you call yourself a public speaking coach? Do you call it
So
something else? What do you call yourself?
yeah, so I'm an executive coach. So I work with entrepreneurs, speakers, and coaches, people who own and operate their own business. That's the first thing. And then my speaker coach started to come out more when I realized there was an area of like a specialty area. Like, what was the thing that I was really, really great at, right? And I've always been good at coaching. So for me, getting trained as a professional coach, going through the process of it was an eye opener. Plus, I had literally accumulated probably over 3,000 clients that I've done one-to-one coaching on before I've done any groups, before anything. And so for me, it kind of that was the whole reason why I started a business called That Coaching Guy, because I didn't know what kind of coach to call myself.
Right. You were called That Coaching Guy. You're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So that's still the name of my business, but I started to brand Benny Salas more because of my speaking. And I wanted people to remember my name. And that was just a branding and marketing strategy. But yeah, I think people, like you said, they need coaches, right? But like you said, if they don't want to level up, and here's the thing that I realized about coaching, right? And I'm going to say this because I think a lot of people get attracted to who they hire as a coach versus understanding what the coach can actually do for you, in terms of, like, you don't hire a coach based on their success only. You hire a coach because you believe they can get you to the level of success that you want for yourself. And so I think a big challenge that I think people have is, and I've seen this before, I've seen a lot of people get hired as coaches, or I recently just put a post out there and I was literally telling people, stop calling yourself a coach. Like, stop it. Like don't do it. If you're not coaching people, hear what I'm saying. Coaching, and you could go to one of my latest Instagram posts, and I put it out there. Coaching in its purest form is about moving somebody towards performance and alignment towards their goals, right? Now, you have to ask yourself, what do I help create alignment and performance around? That's the area I can coach it. Giving somebody the strategy, and you know this, right? Remember how many times were you frustrated with me when I was coaching you? Because you're like, Benny, just give me the answer.
Well,
give me the answer. And I'm
well,
like,
wait, I wanted to preface with how we met and how it
go
evolved,
ahead,
right?
jump into that.
This is not like something like I just met him like yesterday or like last week. I met Benny on Clubhouse during the vid, and Clubhouse is where we connected, right? And all the realtors were on there, and I just kind of dived into different rooms. And I don't even remember what room it was. I think it was like a public speaking room, or I don't remember what it was. But I jumped in and he was talking, and I was like, I relate to him. I understand. He's speaking my language. He's speaking in layman's terms. And there was just something very familiar about his voice. Now, I connected with him offline on Instagram. And months later, I believe, there was and this is where we talk about like energy and alignment and all that stuff. Like, something kept pulling me to, like, you need to work with him. Mind you, I was running a real estate team. I was deep in that. I was trying to coach and mentor those agents. And so my focus was like running this real estate team. And you were at the time, I think it was a public speaking room that I met you in. So in my mind, I was like, okay, what do I need a public speaking coach for? I didn't understand why I was being pulled towards you. And I even hired you and said, I don't know why I'm hiring you. Something is
Yep.
calling me to do it. I don't know. We will have to figure it out in the time we work together. And I remember the first two sessions, which turned out to be like semi-therapy, semi-finding out, like digging through the weeds,
it was
right?
you just I just said, you know what, just dump it all out. Just
It
let it
was
all out. Let it get
unintentional, but he broke through some things that were like, okay, I needed that. And even then, that was what, into 2020, maybe even 20, I don't know,
2020. It was
2019,
like
2020.
2020,
And
2021, kind of. I think it was more like 2021, believe it or not.
And so I was kind of resistant because I was so focused on this, on, what I was doing, that I really didn't even know, like, God, universe, why am I being pulled to this person? Why did I hire him? Why did I pay him all this money and I don't even know like what to tell him? Like, I don't know like why I'm here. But I think through that, I started to understand my mission, my goal, what I was supposed to be doing. And it has evolved. And every time I would reach out to you, I would be like, okay, like I get it now, but like nothing, no action was being taken place.
Right.
And so I
Well,
was
you
like,
were still in discovery
I
phase.
was
If we're
for
right,
years.
for years, you were in discovery phase, and that's a part of about coaching that I think people miss. I think we think the minute I hire a coach, everything's going to change. And I'm going to tell you something. Remember one of the first things I told you? You have permission to be as messy as possible. That was one
Yeah.
of my first words to you. And the reason why is because that's normally the place that we start from.
Yeah.
It's not clear, it's not all mapped out. But I'm going to tell you why you're at where you're at, though. Because you said yes even when you wanted to say no. Because you knew. That's the intuition. That's the thing about us, Kim, that I feel like that place that God speaks to us at, where we know we're meant to do something, but we're afraid. But I'd rather do it afraid than not do it. And that's one
Right.
thing I've noticed about you always. Like, and you have this whole theme of like the lotus, and I don't know if you've ever gotten into that, but that to me
I
was
have not got to
okay. When
have
you
the Lotus
get
talk.
into
And
that,
that'll be
y'all
another
be ready,
story.
because yeah, get me ready. But
That goes
you
deep.
right, that's a deep one, right? It's another whole other Instagram. But you have this ability to not settle, and I saw that in you. That was the only reason why I really was willing to coach you, because you would show up even if you were frustrated and confused, but you still
Yeah.
showed up. And I think about what that's done now. Think about what that process was like, you going through that. I know it was frustrating. I know you probably were like, man, what am I doing? But then
It
to
was
hear you
it
say,
was a you become scatterbrained because you want to take in all the information that the person is seeing from a different perspective, right? Because that's one thing a coach does. I think it helps see it from a different perspective. We are always in our head. We're high performers, we're survivor mode, like that's a whole nother conversation. But it helps, they can pull out something that you may not see, and you start to realize like, oh, okay, so that's possible, that I'm not imagining that, like
right,
somebody else sees that, somebody else is close to it. So it starts to come together. And at the time when you go through this process, so anybody that's like getting with a coach for any reason, because business coaching, I'm going to tell you right now, is a lot more business coaching. My real estate coaching is a lot more than real estate coaching. I'm going to tell you, you start tapping into things and opening things. And what it told me was like, it was like the infant stages, but things were going to have to change. And I was so attached to my identity at that moment when you and I first started working together. I couldn't even imagine anything else than what I was doing at that moment,
mm-hmm.
like what I was responsible for. I was like, how am I going to get here when I've got all this that I need to do?
Yeah,
And it was really hard for me and I'm going to tell, energy, alignment, however, destiny, things start putting into place and start moving out of your way to make things happen, what you're
100%.
supposed to be doing. And I saw that and I was like, things are falling away, people are removed from my life, opportunities are showing up. But what about me? And there was a time I hired Benny, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to revisit this in another year, because clearly this is good, but I wasn't ready, like mentally, emotionally, like I wasn't prepared. And it took me a while before I was like, fuck it, it's time. I know it. I feel it. Then we worked together again and I was still messy and still confused, but it was like baby steps. So again, to your point, like it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Like it really doesn't. It is an altering and a shifting of everything that you are used to. But this is also why a coach can help a coach, right? Like I may be really good at doing X, but now I'm really good at doing X, Y, and Z because
Yeah.
of the help of somebody else that's been able to pull me out. And um, I have clients that I work with, and I've only worked with them. Maybe we've only worked together for 6 weeks, and they're amazed, and I'm actually still amazed. Like you're a different person from when we first
100%.
started. They've come to me and they've had real estate problems, and they think they need to do this, and they come to me and they're kind of like slope like this, and then at the end they're like, I got this. I know it wasn't a real estate problem. It was this problem, but we took care of the real estate stuff, and now they've got confidence. And it's like, and I'm like, you're a whole different person. Your vibe is different. The way you speak is different, and not in a bad sense but sometimes you just need that little help, that little push. So what
Yeah.
have you seen in your coaching in the transformation of not just myself, because I'm sure you can attest to that, but what are some common, like, and I don't want to say immediate, but some pretty visible changes that you see in somebody when you start working with them?
Yeah, I think I go back, and again, I've been, I don't even know, even after we paused the coaching, I was still reaching out to you, and I still told you, reach out to me, You're on the journey, reach out, don't quit, repeatedly. Most coaches won't do that, and I'll tell you why. Because they care more about the money than the mission. They really do, and I get it. It's a lucrative industry. You can do a lot, but I really care
also
about
why you have to do your due diligence to find a coach.
Exactly.
I compare it to women finding a hairstylist, finding a massage therapist, finding somebody that like vibes with you, or a therapist. Like you have to go through a couple before you like, this is
100%. Yeah, and I've been through a couple coaches. I recently decided that the coach that I was with for 3 years, I was ready to shift because of the direction I was going and the direction I thought he was going. So we actually brought on a new coach, right? And I'm excited about this coach because he has something I want, and I don't want what he wants. I just want it for myself. And so when I see people wanting it for themselves, when I see people loving themselves again, it's so corny and cliche, but the moment you start loving yourself again, and the moment you stop watching people so that people can start watching you, the moment you start to understand your mindset and your mission and your message, like when you start to reconnect to that, you start to become a whole different person. The world, the universe becomes really small, right? It's no longer this big world that you were afraid of. And when you start to see people take steps and move things forward, and they start to sound different, they start to act different, those are the kinds of outcomes that we all want to see from people. You genuinely want to see from people. You want to see them take that next step, take that big risk, believe in who they are, because here's the thing, everybody is not meant for to me, this wasn't about entrepreneurship. That was one benefit of it. To me, this was about you walking in your mission in life. I
tell you what I told my coach, my other coach, because my other coach has like 5 other coaches, and I told her, I said, I did not go through all the childhood trauma that I went through to not make an impact on the world. So it starts today. And that was what, whenever, and you kind of paved the way for me to kind of get into that mind. You shifted me, and then I was able, like you said, like, I may come back to you, but right now I know which way I'm moving. And so I'm getting the people that I need. And I know the people that have been a part of that have made an impact. But you're right. Like people don't realize that it takes a village. It takes a village. You can't do it alone. You can't run a business alone. You can't be successful. You can't heal. Like you can't remove these blockages. Like you cannot do it alone. So who are you going? If you don't have the people and the support around you, because you all come from the same place. So how are you going to help each other if like you're all coming from the same place?
Yeah.
You need to go outside of that. So some people are like, well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time commitment. I don't have like X, Y, and Z. If your life depended on it, would you make a change? Would you make
100%.
the, the
And
impact? So,
and that determines how bad somebody wants to change. Like, I think people, and again, I think when it comes to the coaching industry, right? So the coaching industry in and of itself, I think people see it more as like a luxury, right? Um, and I'll be honest with you, I've spent more time and money not doing the right thing than taking my money and investing it in the right person.
as
Okay.
well.
And I got courses and I got books and I got conferences and all those things. And it wasn't until I said, what does Benny need? And I had to reconnect with who I was as a business owner, as a speaker, as a coach, in all those different areas of my life. When I did, it allowed me to show up the right way, because it just isn't about the coach. If you're not coach ready, you will have a real crappy coaching
I
experience. You
had somebody
really,
ask me one
really
time. She
will,
said, will
right?
you coach?" She's like, "Will you work somebody with somebody that's not like receptive?" And I said, "Why would I? If they're not ready, like, why would I want to waste my time or theirs? Like, you have to be like, you have to willingly say, and imagine you're paying for somebody else's time to share things with you. You have to be ready. Now, I've spent money like you have on other coaches, but because you kind of don't know what you need until you know what you need, and you're like, I kind
Yeah.
of have to. I don't know. So with you, like, it opened up this world for me. And then I was like, okay, he did the hardest job, which is,
Yeah, I got the
break.
hardest coaching job.
He did the hardest
I had to
coaching
crack
job.
you open, like.
You had to crack me open and like figure out what was going on. And now I'm like, okay, now I need this little piece that needs to be, I need to go here because that person can help me. You need a
But
mindset coach, and you need a money coach, and you need a financial coach, and you need a physical coach, and you start to realize the things the areas in your life that you need. And so
you were
that's why when I work
on
with,
that path, though. That's the thing, Kim. I
yeah,
could see these like bits and pieces, and because I was leaning into you, right? Because, and again, that's the thing about coaching. If you have to lean in and learn the client you're working with, right?
mm-hmm.
This is why it takes, and you know this now that you're on the other side of this, you understand 3 months you're barely just getting started, right? Like you're just like
Yeah,
pulling out, right?
yeah,
And it's one of those things where if I recall our experience, you kept having these aha moments, and you
mm,
were frustrated because you weren't like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm like, wait a minute, you're exactly where you need to be, because
yeah,
you're experiencing it, you were actually embodying it, and you were frustrated about but that's just you and your feelings, and I
yeah.
knew that, and I couldn't let you take me there as a coach, because if I
Speaking
if
on
I
that, that's why people think, like you said, this coaching industry is like, it could look saturated because there are some unauthentic people out there. And to be in this space, you have to be able to hold space for people and
100%.
whatever they're going through. And that's a hard thing. I know people that are like, I can't, like, they can't function after spending an hour with somebody on working through some of these things. So that's important too. So, we are our superpower is being able to hold space for people. And I think that not only do we have to be present, we have to be regulated, we have to understand our situation, our emotion, where we're coming, how we have to think the client first. And like you said, I think finding a coach that is worried about the mission, because I've coached people for free
Yeah.
unintentionally, because I'm like, I really believe that I can help you shift from A to B. And then you can go on and hire me, or you can, go to somewhere else, because I really feel strongly about, like, I need to help others realize the lotus flower situation, right? Like, you can
I'm
die a
so
million
waiting for that
deaths.
message. I'm so
You can
waiting.
die, you can die
And
a million
listen,
deaths.
y'all, do me a favor. Listen, if you don't follow Kim, I got some people that are on here. Follow Kim. Wait till she releases her message on the
And
lotus
that's
flower. I'm
that's
telling
a
you.
vulnerable part that will show up slowly as I venture through this, and it's coming. But the lotus flower, you can die a million deaths, you can come from the murkiest, dirtiest past and still create something so beautiful. And
I love
that
it.
is one thing that you have to, like, stand in. And it's hard to imagine anybody where you're at right now in your business, in your personal
And,
life.
And let me just say this too. As a coach, when you're working with somebody, you have to believe that in that person, even if they're not there yet.
Yep. Yep.
And you know this, right? Like, this is what's so crazy about, like, when you're actually coaching somebody. I could see that for you way before you saw it for yourself, but you gave it to me.
Mm.
You gave me the vision. You said, I have a tattoo. You said, I have this. And we started to deep dive. And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, if this woman ever gets in crazy alignment, she is going to freaking kill it. Because I could see your characteristics. I could see your work ethic. I could see your strengths. I could see you as a mom. I could see you as a realtor. I could see all these different things about you, Kim. And so me, I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting here as a proud coach to hear what you're doing now. I really, really am. Like that should be the end goal for us as coaches, to see our people win.
Yeah.
Right?
But like you said, that was the journey, right? I needed to go through what I went through, experience-wise and emotional-wise, because I wouldn't have been prepared when I first came to you 2 years ago. Like I wasn't prepared. Like I just wasn't. I couldn't, get all the ducks in the row. And then you start to put it together and like, how do I use everything that I went through to help another person? Because I was already doing it in the real estate space and coaching and mentoring agents. I can do that all day. Now I just added an extra aspect to it. So people that come to me, we talk about real estate stuff and 90% of it is not, but they still get the answers. And we talk about other things. And that's the amazing, the amazing thing. Like, I don't ever, my husband always like, well, shouldn't you go back to school so you could like be a therapist? And I'm like, I mean, I kind of already am. Being a therapist.
Well, I got a great video on that. And it talks about the difference between therapist, coach, consulting, mentoring. Right? And I think that's really important. And here's what I say. You're right to this degree. I make a clear distinction between therapy and coaching, but I say coaching is very therapeutic.
Exactly.
It is very therapeutic when you can have somebody listen to you, lean in, learn you, and then help you understand the lessons that you need to be successful. I mean, again, I'm pro coaching, and people know this, but I think real coaching pulls somebody out from where they're at. And here's what it does. Like you said, the main word that I love the most is holding the space for people, right? I could not hold the space for you to say, well, Kim's going to start her this, because that wasn't the space you were in. And I, as a coach, I can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. Yep. That's the biggest mistake that I think creates dissonance in the coaching relationship and lack of trust, is that I want it more for you than you want it for yourself. So I'm not happy. I'm not making my coach happy. This isn't about making the coach happy. Who cares? Like, my success has nothing to do with yours.
Right.
In the end, okay? In the end. I know, I think big picture, what I'm saying to you is that when Kim steps fully into her superpower, when she steps into her ability and her capability, what could she do to transform the world?
Yeah. And guys, you got a little glimpse of what he does, okay? He gets in there. And I will tell you, like, I mean, being a leader and being a coach is in a leader, that we're leaders, right? Sometimes you have to you have to meet the person where they're at. You have to be not harsh, but they have to hear things that they wouldn't normally hear outside of it, right? So I walked away a little pissed off sometime, but I was pissed off because I was like, he's right, but like, how do I move through this, And I love how you say coaching is therapeutic, because that's one thing I encourage my clients. I'm like, you need to dive deeper into that. Maybe look, for some professional help. We do touch on it sometimes, but like, I'm not qualified. I'm probably equipped, but not qualified. And I would rather them really get some professional help if that's what could help, move the needle. So we're kind of like the stepping stone for people to like become more aware, become more self-confident, just kind of be, more loving to themselves. Like you said, like when you start to love yourself, you become a different person.
There were even times where I said, you know, Kim, that right there is something that I think you may need to talk to a therapist about. I think you and I mean, I have a great therapist. And there were times where I knew that those were not conversations for my
Right.
coach because and I had to understand the nature of the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? A coach, think about this, a perfect example on a sports team. You could get somebody traded from one team to the next. That coach is not trying to teach them how to play. They're trying to understand how the player plays and see if they're the right fit for the team, right? And so they learn they see where their weaknesses, their strengths are at. How do they move forward? What are the things, what are the patterns of behavior? All of these different areas. And so I feel like as a coach, you know, when people don't hire a coach, I'm just gonna be honest, and you know you need it. You're just saying that I hear this often, and I get this on the back end. I get people blowing up my DM. Hey, Coach Benny, and I'm like, okay, we're going another year where you're just gonna keep saying like you're sure, you're not sure, like what? But I keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again,
Which is
and it's like, wait a minute, this goes to show you that the biggest problem holding your success in your business is you, is that you don't invest in yourself, so you don't believe in yourself. It's not that you
right.
don't believe in me as a coach. You don't believe in yourself that somebody can help you, and the reason why is because you've never let anybody help you. You think you can do this all on your own, and so you're right,
And,
Kim.
and you're right. That's with me, right? So you're in survival mode. Like you can't that's been my whole life, right? So you're like, I can't trust anybody else. Like it's all on me.
Right.
I have to like do everything. And like guys, what I'm telling you is like it takes a village. It takes a village. You have a therapist, you have a mindset coach, you have a trainer, you've got a nutrition
A
coach. Like you've got like everybody
mastermind
you need.
community. You have all these different things. Yeah.
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 That's the only way to
I
tap into the better, your best self, your highest self is what are you doing to invest in yourself, right? We talk about self-care to kind of become more relaxed in how we handle life. And part of self-care is investing in yourself in other ways. It could be, massages and spa days, or it could be meditation and hiring a business. And I tell you right now, you hire a business coach, you will unlock some life stuff. It's just part of it.
yeah.
If you look at, if you follow any entrepreneurial YouTube sensation, or the Gary V's or the Ed Milet's or any of these top people, like they're going to tell you the same thing. And they give good information. And mind you, those coaches, they're like $25,000 a day, an hour, whatever. Like they've made it to where they've helped people transform.
Yep.
But the thing is, you can still find a good coach that will work for you, that is in your budget. You will find somebody. The fact is, you have to seek out. If you're ready,
Yep.
you have to seek out. And whether it starts with, oh, I'm a real estate agent and I don't know what I'm doing, and I've been licensed for 2 years, and I've made zero money. Well, there's so many questions to that, right? Or, hey, I just started a podcast, or I just started a small business. Like all of the business world will open up, will kind of force you,
Yeah.
will challenge you.
It's interesting you say that. I spent was 15,000 having somebody kind of mentor coach me on some marketing stuff. I hated the work he did, but I loved the lessons I learned. And that was the value. That was the value for me. The value was I didn't like the quality. I didn't like even some of the rigidness. And it didn't end well in terms of their marketing coaching or whatever, because they were really focused on the money. And it really bothered me. It really bothered me because that's not the way I am. I believe in giving more than I believe in just
Well, let me
giving
ask you,
more.
how did you find him, or what made you want to work with him in the beginning?
So it was a connection, and it was at an event where we both were on stage, and I thought there would be more in terms of what I was expecting, and I expect a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I expect a lot. And I make no apologies about it. And so I think it was about the quality, not so much the quantity, the quality of what the work was expected. And when I wasn't satisfied with it, and we wanted to make some changes, started to get a little nasty at the end, and it began to be really technical. And I said, you know what? I realized, one, he wasn't a coach, and you can call yourself that, but you know you're a coach by how you hold the relationship and how you value the client. Second thing was, what I got from it for me more than anything was the value of the lessons. Then sometimes you have to pay for a bad experience so that you can learn what's good about it. Let me write that down. Hold on. How to pay for a bad experience is my next.
And I talk about it all the time when they're like, "Oh, well, I would have to sacrifice this," and I'm like, "Well, if you don't do it, then you're sacrificing this. If you do it, you're sacrificing." Like, the sacrifice we don't realize sometimes is the blessing, and you have to understand, like, you learn something. Like I was gonna say, you probably learned what you didn't want to be, what you didn't want to do. And maybe to, do a little digging before you commit. But I mean, like you said, it's a lesson, everything. And I think I read that from a Jim Rohn. I don't know where I heard it, but it was like, I don't lose. I either win or I learn. I think it was Jim Rohn, but it's like, because it's the experience. You're either going to win from that experience or you're going to learn from it. There's nothing to lose. So I agree with that. So what are some, give me some tips, or share with everyone, what are some tips to finding the right coach, or what are some questions they can ask themselves if they're looking for one, for their business or for personal? Because there's a ton of life coaches out there. We know everyone's a life coach these days.
So, and it's interesting, right? I think you have to be specific about what kind of coaching you're doing. So I don't do life coaching. And it's so interesting because I recently had a conversation with somebody who mentioned about somebody else who said, well, I don't want to invite Benny because we do the same thing. I'm like, bro, we don't do the same thing. I promise you don't do what I do, right? And he's like, well, but we do life coaching. I said, no, I don't do that. That's you. You do life coaching. I do executive coaching. I work with people who want to build and excel. Now, here's the thing. Here's the catch to this. Everything is life coaching. If we are talking about your life, we're talking about your life. If the biggest problem is something in your personal development, it's life coaching. So let me just throw that caveat out there. I would say when you're looking for a coach, you want to ask the questions: how do you work best? Like what can I expect? What can I not expect? And being honest. Like I'm looking for a coach. I'm looking for somebody. This is how, like, you have to know how you work as an individual. Like what's going to be those push and pulls. I am not a good coach for everybody, but because of my experience in doing this for 12 years, I can coach a lot of different personalities, right? So for me, my range and my margin has kind of grown. Okay. Now I choose who I want to coach now. If you don't have anything at stake, I'm probably not a good coach for you. If you're not driven, if you're not, motivated, if you think that I'm just going to magically appear and I'm probably not a good coach for you. What you're looking for is a superstar that you can be fangirling or fanboying over. Okay. That's probably not me. Right. Because for me, I'm going to deep dive to understand what's stopping you from doing everything that you say you want to do. Like, what are the roadblocks? What are the things there? What are the action plans, right? Like we laid out a program, we laid out a strategy, we laid out a talk, we laid out all these different things. Now the question is still what's holding people back, right? So for me, I look at, a good coach is somebody who I know speaks the same language, right? We got to speak the same language. We got to be able to communicate on the same wavelength, right? I also got to know that you got results, that you got outcomes, right? Now, that's not everything, because a lot of my coaching clients, believe it or not, and you know this, are contractual. So I have an agreement that I don't put your business out there unless you tell me, or unless we do something like this. So for me, I hold a different level of confidentiality with my clients, right? But if I ask for a testimonial, great, put it out there. You have to have a body of work in which you are doing something, right? Now, and here's the thing. You ready for this, Kim? It doesn't mean you have to get it through coaching. It means if you have a body of work and you've been doing something for 7 to 10 years, right? Or even 5 to 10 years, you're moving from experience to expert. And you have to be able to say, now, how do I package this to offer? Because there is a difference. I'm going to help somebody out here today. There's a difference between your audience and your market. Okay. And I'm going to post this video right after we're done with this because I just recorded it this morning. Your audience will listen to you, but your market will pay attention. So the goal is not to get just an audience. The goal is from the audience, who's your market? And so you got to be able to understand, does this person speak to the kind of market that speaks to me? Or do they just have good Instagram videos with good captions and good, music? Like I think some people get so lost in the sauce, they don't even know who the heck they're picking. And
yeah. So let me ask you, how many clients do you work with at a time? And do you do group coaching or do you have one-on-ones?
Yeah. So we've kind of evolved, right? So right now we have our Speak More Academy. We did Build and Grow for a while. I've revamped Build and Grow, which is going to be more of my business accelerator. I've taken the past year and have really focused on how do I help executives become better communicators, better leaders, better businesses, right? That is, and here's the thing. I need to say this to you all because this is going to help you out so much. Your bio is going to change. Your messaging is going to change. You're going to redevelop from one year to the next. You're going to unpack more about you. And sometimes you can get so, like, if you can't divorce yourself from all of your so-called cool ideas to really grow and develop, you will not be good, sustainable in this market and in this industry. You won't, because you're growing in this. You're working with more people. You're understanding your gifts, your talents, your abilities. So now what we've done is, like, we have a new offer that's coming out called Taking Center Stage, where I'm doing 3 days of intensive with me in South Florida in December. I freaking can't wait for this. This has been something I've been dreaming about, like walking somebody through how do they own their spotlight. Like, how do you own your spotlight? How do you own this new thing that you are doing? Wait, are you new? Are you a new coach or still an Uber driver? I love that. No, Jermaine, I'm not an Uber driver. I'm not an Uber driver anymore. But I got a great story behind that, because when I was coaching, right? When I was coaching, I was driving Uber. And the only reason why I did that is because it gave me the flexibility to work at night and then coach in the morning and figure out my business. It was one of the most empowering things. And I love that story because I needed that story. I needed that reminder. Like, when I Ubered, you know what was so amazing about that for me?
You meet so many different people.
You meet so many different people, but I was in control of my money.
Right.
I was so used to everybody else paying me and me working on their dime instead of understanding what my own experience was. So I remember being in that car, and you know what I would do while I was in that car? And I was going from one place to the next, I was working out my message in my head. I was working on how am I going to work? Like, this is what I was doing, and I needed that motivation. And see, here's the thing. For me, that was my motivation. For other people, they're working jobs or they're doing things that maybe, or they're in careers. Now, this isn't never a conversation about, like, in order to be a coach, you gotta leave your career. No, if you want to, great. If you don't, that's fine. You can coach within your confines and in your career scope. But for me, when I got really clear about this and fell in love with coaching in its purest form, it changed everything for me. It gave me a way to help people. So we do groups now. We have an academy now. We have Taking Center Stage. This year we introduced our VIP, which is a $15,000 offer. I've never been able to charge $15,000 in one shot. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what? And here's the tripped out thing. You ready for this? And I haven't posted it yet because my client hired me, brought me in. We did a VIP day, a day and a half, and then we're doing some sessions afterwards. She went to London and closed 50 to 100K off after our meeting.
So because I know you say you help executives.
Yeah.
And is that like corporation, like in corporate, or like people that are?
So there's
I know you help entrepreneurs.
Yeah, entrepreneurs and business owners. Those are my sweet spot. And business owners are agency owners, entrepreneurs. If you own a business,
right.
In other words, if you are doing a transaction of time, product, service. You're a business owner.
Got it.
Okay, we need to get out of this like I know some people are like authors, coaches, consultants. I'm like, dude, listen, you're a business owner. You own a business. Now, whatever business you own is up to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I focus more on the mindset of a business owner more than anything, right? And I want to help people speak more. I want to help them because I understand when they get clear about their message, watch their program change, watch their audience change, watch their social media change, watch all these.
I have one for you. I have an idea for you. You heard it here. I think you need to have a program, a short program or something specifically for introverts, because I think a lot of introverts think that they can't be vocal. They can't be confident. And I think that's like, speak to those people. I think that you should have something like that.
I should create a video for introverts. You know, I would probably need to do an interview with an introvert because I'm such an introvert. You know what I mean? Like, it would be really, it's easy for me to get it. And again, you've heard me say this. I say it often in my content that people don't fear public speaking. They fear the public speaking.
Yep.
What makes you introverted isn't what you're going to say. It's what you're afraid other people would say.
Correct.
And so that
fear
of like, will people accept or reject me? Will they like me? Will they won't? Will they will you criticize me? That causes me to stay inward bound.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so when I get out from that place, like, what would it look like if most people who would stop using that excuse and actually just put their message out there?
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. You ready for this? That's just called business.
I was going to say, that's like at some point, you got to just like, fuck everybody else. Just like do it. And that's a hard place for people to be, because I had, you know, and we're talking about like if you just do personal coaching or group coaching, because I'm in the space of real estate, and that's where I've been for the past 12, 15 years. That's the platform that I'm using to kind of start this. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to help, like, realtors don't really think they need coaching, but once they get into this business, this industry will challenge you. It will tear you down. You get rejected. Like, there's a lot that a realtor will go through, especially if they're doing it. So I used all the things that you're saying to create an easier, engaging, and more accessible. I don't want to say affordable. It sounds weird, but accessible, because I do the same thing, right? I'll have my one-on-one clients, but then I have a small group coaching client. Yep. I have a private group because I want, and it's limited people, because I want to be able to engage. Like you said, we need to know the person. I want to be able to talk to them, know their business, know them, and help them grow. So I also am doing a one-day intensive. I haven't announced it. I was supposed to announce it on Thursday, but you heard it here.
How much? Tell me how much you're going to charge for it. I want to hear the price right now on Instagram Live.
It's a one-day intensive all day from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for realtors. It's mainly for realtors, right? If they want to, it's called Chaos to Cash Flow, because
I like
our real estate life is chaotic. Sometimes we do, we're pulled in 10 different ways, and it's just to kind of help them get assess their business and start filling in the holes and getting more clear, not just on their goal, but on their business, and being able to be ready for 2024, right? I'm only taking a small amount of people. It is a virtual training, so I can help everybody. I may do an in-person training for that day, but because we're busy, I'm like, realtors don't want a 4-day event. They don't, like, it's hard for us to take off. We've got stuff going on. So I'm doing one day, all day, to be focused and help everybody, go from X to Z, X to what, Y to Z, X to Z, whatever.
One day from chaos to cash.
Cash to cash flow.
You're going to cash flow. You're going to assess.
We're going to assess their business. We have stuff we're going through, right? There's an agenda, and it's filled with, the technical and also the mindset stuff too. Okay. I'm excited for it because this is the first time I'm doing it. I never thought about it to do it this way, but it came to me because I'm like, who has the time? I mean, in this industry, there's an event going on every weekend. Okay, yep. But we got to be here helping our clients. We got to be here handling transactions. Like, when do we have time to stop? We've got personal things to go, So I was like, let me just make it one day. Everyone can prepare for it. Focus. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. We'll have breaks.
Julian just said, count me in. Let's go, Julian.
Oh, Julian.
Hey,
yeah.
point. I don't want to hear no excuses, Julian. You're all in.
Yeah, I'm literally only taking a certain amount of people because
okay.
I don't want to
Right
overwhelm it.
here, right now, on Instagram Live, what are you going to charge for this one-day experience with you?
And it's only $1,000.
Perfect,
guys.
perfect.
$1,000. It's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So you're going
and there are 6
audit
areas that we are going to focus on. There's going to be Q&A. I'm going to share my strategies. I'm going to share exactly what I use in my business to be able to travel and do all the other things that I do and still make over 6 figures a year. So,
I love it.
I'm excited. I didn't want to announce it till tomorrow, but if you're watching the replay, eventually I will have a link, or you can DM me for the information. I'm so excited because I got so much information. I'm like, I don't want to just do it one person at a time. And that's why I moved away from managing a real estate team. Because I'm like, I don't want to help just these amount of people. I want to help everyone who wants to be helped.
Here's the thing I think people need to understand is you're not paying for a full day with Kim. You're paying for 20-something plus years, understanding a market, an industry, and her skill set. Okay.
Right.
That's what people need to understand. When people say to me, well, can I pay that? I'm like, do you know how long I've been speaking? I've been doing this for 27 years professionally since I was 19. And I got the receipts. I got the pictures. What else do you need? Right. And I love the fact that you gave that price point, because you know what? It's not going to stay at that price point. And you know that.
No, it isn't. Right. But I feel it's way more valuable than that. But I understand. I understand my ideal client for that particular thing. And so I understand where that is, because I know where it's
important, because that's a huge part of us as coaches. Like, a big part is, how do we monetize and value? And maybe let's do a follow-up. Let's do a follow-up from this, because I think how you value yourself and how you reflect your worth is reflective in your pricing and reflective in how much access people have to you.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the one thing that I remember talking to other, I also, coach team leads and people that are running teams, right? Because I understand, I was there. And the one thing that they said is like, I spend too much time. People have too much access to me. I don't like it. And I'm like, but that's what you signed up for. You wanted to be a coach. You wanted to be a mentor. If you are running a team, they depend on you. You're the leader. And so I didn't understand, like, of course I want to be accessible. That's my job. But there are boundaries also that go into that. So we talk about that. That's a whole nother training, because that's specifically for, team leads or people that are high performing, that are trying to build a team or start a team. But yes, absolutely. And my levels are different. If you want to work with me one-on-one, just like you, I'm sure you have my personal cell phone. You can access me most of the time. You have a different price point, and we have 90-minute calls once a week instead of whatever the other ones is. But I also have something that for the people that are dipping their toe in it, right? And you pay a monthly fee that's in a smaller community, on a private Facebook page, where I will do a live training every week. And we talk about the things that you guys want to talk about, not what I want to talk about. I will share the stuff that I think is important, but I'm having like these different ways, because it doesn't have to be, a coaching one-on-one and that's it. Like, I wanted to be able to touch other people, and okay, that's not right. I wanted to be able to reach other people and the way that I know how. And I'm very casual, and I don't want it to be professional and, cookie cutter. Like, I talk to people the way I talk, and that's what helps them. The same way that you always talk to me, right? We're very candid. We're very straightforward, but it comes with love. And I'm like, I can see out of you what you don't see. And so it's got to kind of have to like pull it out, which that's what we're good at, right? That's what a good coach is good at.
Yeah, no, I love that. And again, I'm so excited to see like your evolution in this, and you really kind of figure, I think, if anything, you're gonna, and again, and as coaches, right? Because before you're a coach, before you're a speaker, you're a business owner, and you're saying, well, how do I put good business people so that I can work with people, so that I can, serve more people. And I love the fact that you're diving into this in that market. That's what I'm talking about. The market will pay attention. The market will pay pay attention to you. Why? Because you now have taken your knowledge. This is what I tell people. If you really want to do good coaching, here's the rule of thumb: that what you know is greater than what you do. What you know is greater than what you do. So when I package what I know, my value goes up, because then I understand how I can influence the market the right way, how I can best show up. When you're working with the right client, I'm gonna tell you, they will pull out the greatest coach in you. Like,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
not about like, oh my God, there was tears, or there was no tears, and there was happy and there was sad. Like each moment is so different for everybody, right? And I think the more that you locked in on that, again, I'm just, I have all of our recordings, by the way. but
Oh,
if, if I pull those out and be like, yo, this used to be Kim, right?
oh, that's what, and I tell like even my old my agents that I used to mentor like 5-6 years ago, and they come to me now, and I'm like, I'm a different coach than I was before.
Yeah,
Like I'm, and I've shifted to the mindful real estate coach, because I'm really am mindful of the person that I'm working
yeah.
with. I'm mindful of the situation they're in, the place that they're in, their business is in. Like I'm mindful of that, but I also am like, I'm gonna pull out more from you
And
than you realize.
that's how you see a bigger solution in a market, is when you say, hey, I could, like, you have no problem selling real estate.
No,
That's
none.
easy for you.
Super easy.
But for you, the challenge was, how do I help other people do that? And that's how you know, right? You're stepping into your coaching, like your armor, your coaching, like superpower, right? It's how do I help other people? When I started to speak more, was how do I help other people become better speakers? How do I help them understand how I've grown my business? Like, the one thing that I absolutely was not good at, and I jokingly say this, but it's true, that I used to suck as an employee, right? Because I was not a good employee. I was too entrepreneurial, and I would always speak my mind. They
Yeah.
weren't paying me for that. And so when I realized, okay, what do I like about my careers? It was always about, I was empowering people, and I always had an inspiring message. And when the light bulb went off, Kim, when it made sense, that's when I went full throttle with it. And so you have to figure out, like, what were the things I was great at? Maybe I wasn't in the best setting. Maybe I didn't work for the right leader. Maybe I wasn't working for the
Mhm.
best company. But what did I like about what I was doing that made
Right.
me come alive and helped me define and discover what my passion and purpose was? And I think when we do that, we show up differently.
I will say, yes, I'm probably a different person internally than when we first met. And and I look back at that, and that's what's great to like share the transformation story with others, especially in this space, in this industry, because they can't see the silver lining. 90%. I mean, how many realtors do we have in the state of Texas? I know Benny's in Florida,
Florida,
but we have like 40,000 or more, I'm sure, and 85% of them do maybe 2 transactions a year. And I like to find out, why is that? Is it because, that's just how you want it to be? Most of them have come into the business because they have some misconception, or misconstrued conception about how they're supposed to just like fall into it and make money.
yeah,
And I try to just dive a little deeper and create the strategies that I used even when I wasn't in the place that I am today. It still works. I'm just more confident now. I understand it more. And like
yeah.
you said, it is easy for me. Like I can convert a client. I can handle a whole transaction from beginning to end without me even being involved most of the time. I can get more done. Like I enjoy it because it's just something that comes easy to me. And when I can help somebody else realize that it really is easy, this is what we need to shift or change. I get satisfaction out of that. I love to see somebody that I worked with, like you, I'm sure, is looking at me doing the same thing. Like, yeah, I helped do that. And I don't need the accolades. I just know that it's there. And I know that
And here's
I've
the thing.
left a mark on somebody.
Absolutely. And if I'm honest, I knew it was there from the moment you and I got on our discovery call. Like, I knew it was there. And I didn't need to force you to get there. That's your journey. And I think a good coach knows how to get on the journey with people and watch them flourish, watch them go through the mud, watch them go through the ups and downs, the frustrations, the highs and the lows, and still believe that about them, right? Because here's the thing, when you go through that, and when we've seen other people go through it, they stop believing in themselves. That's the first thing that goes, because they stop believing what they've always believed. And I think that's what is so important when we go through that journey ourselves. Like, I can't hold a space for people if I haven't done it for myself. That's just God honest. I can't coach you on how to believe positive when I'm speaking negative to myself.
Right.
Like, if you want to be a great
you have to
coach,
practice what you preach too on yourself.
100%, right? And I think that makes a huge difference in how somebody shows up. Right, like,
because there's tons of coaches out there that just coach. Either they like went to the NLP and got their certification, or they went on, I don't know, ChatGPT and got, the steps, and they want to. I mean, I get that, but for me, I need somebody that has gone through what I've gone through. That's the only way that it'll relate to me. It's the only way I can feel that it's right. I can't be coached by somebody. And I think that's why I've had a couple of coaches in the real estate space, and they were very expensive. And I just feel like I'm not getting anything from this. Like, you don't understand my business. You don't understand what I want. Like, you're just giving me what you think I need to hear. And I spent a lot of money on it. And I was in a commitment for 12 months, and I would show up. Some days I would be like, I don't even need to come today. Like, it's fine. I'm just paying you for nothing. And like you said, we have to, have those bad experiences. And I knew that I didn't want to be that way either. And that's not how I work. So you're getting a lot more than from me. And I think, and I've created, have testimonials that people have sent me, and I'm kind of like creating a little treasure chest of that. So I can start letting them out one by one, because for me also, I'm not a super public person, even though you see me on Instagram and see me, I'm not super public. And I think that was the hardest point. Like, how am I going to get to people if I can't get out there and talk to them? I don't have a problem in person. You meet me in person, I'll talk all day. I'll help you. I'll have 3 businesses for you to create. I have, strategies for you in your life. Like, I can tell you everything, but for some reason it was harder for me to get this information to the masses. Yeah. And that's something we struggle with, imposter syndrome, that comes from, deep things in the past that I have worked on for many years. So it's kind of getting out of your own way. And like, when you've been through that, then you can help somebody else.
Yeah.
But when you meet somebody that hasn't seen struggle, doesn't understand coming from 0 to 60, who didn't go through, who's had a peachy life and is now coaching, or they have some coaching program that's like, when you get in, you're like rolling your eyes. You're like, "What? I paid for this? This is ridiculous." Like, I've had that happen, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I thought they could help. What did they say that made me think that they could help me? And then, and like you said, sometimes it's just great marketing, or whatever. And finding the right coach can be a struggle. Don't get discouraged, guys. Please don't get discouraged. You may have to do 1 or 2 times, or you could just hire Benny or I, and that'll be easy. One and done.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. But I know we went over a little over, but that happens when you're talking about something that
it's great. This has been great.
That is, we're passionate about, and I appreciate you taking your time, because I know you're busy, to come on here and share with people and understand like why they actually need a coach. And if they've ever considered doing it, that this is your sign. The time is now. If you're watching this live or you're watching a replay, this is your sign. If it's not one of us, find somebody that's going to help inspire you and get you in a place that you know that you can be. So any last words, anything you want to say that's like inspirational, because you always have someone.
I would just encourage people. I think whether it's coaching, speaking, whether it's building a business, launching a product, I just think that you have to, you guys have to really, really connect with what kind of imprint you want to leave on the world, right? I think that's just important. I think, like, what kind of imprint do I want to leave? Like, do I want to leave this earth, completed, in the sense that like I love the fact that you're doing what you're doing now, because you won't have any regret. You won't have any regret. And I think so many times we have so many regrets about the decisions we didn't make, about the opportunities that we missed. And instead of getting better, we're staying bitter. Okay. I think a big part is when we don't step into what it is that God has for us, when we don't take that risk. I guarantee you this one thing that I will do for the rest of my life is I'm going to fail the rest of my life, but I'm going to fail forward. I guarantee you I'm going to make mistakes. I guarantee you I'm going to miss the mark, but I'm going to do that in the name of moving forward, not because I'm sitting back just waiting for things to be handed to me, given to me. No, that's never been my attitude. That's never been my posture. My attitude has always been like, how do we move this thing forward? How do I help more people? And I think that's getting clear. I think the more I become about what it's really about, the clearer
Mm-hmm.
it becomes about why I'm doing it. And so I would just encourage people to really define what that is. And there's nothing wrong with charging your value, right? Because worth, you don't charge for worth. Hear me on this.
Mm-hmm.
Worth is what you give yourself. Value is what other people give you when they understand that you know your worth. And so if you know how much you're worth, put your value out there. That's what I would
And
say.
I love that you say that because that applies in real estate because people always want to discount themselves. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessary. So I love that, but I do want to leave on something you said in the beginning, and it goes along with what you're talking about right now, is do it messy, do it imperfect, show up. And I mean, you're always going to fail. It's always going to be, you're going to make mistakes. That's the only way to do it. And if something is holding you back, whether it's a business, a hobby, a relationship, like you got to show up for yourself. Maybe get a
Yep.
coach that'll help you. So I hope this has inspired, others. I hope people on the replay get some kind of good nuggets from it and motivation. And I super appreciate you being here. And I know we
They
will
don't get
talk
any good
soon.
nuggets. They're not coach ready.
That's true. Yeah, if you didn't get anything from here, you're just not ready, and that's okay. That's okay. It'll come later. But I appreciate it. I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday. And Benny, we will talk soon.
You
Thank you
got
so
it. Take care,
much.
Kim.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.